Mic check. Hold on. Make sure my level is right. I'm gonna try this again. Oh, shook my camera. Hold on. We're gonna try this again. Need my flex bombs. All right, I'm gonna let that rock for a bit. All right, time to clear the throat. All right, let's go. Let's get to it. All right, y'all. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of Dissect the Dialogue. I am Eric T. Eric Moon, whatever you prefer to call me. Let's get into it. Now, I'm pretty sure I told y'all already about my situation. As you can see, I've been having a lot of tech issues. I don't know what's going on with this laptop. I've been using it since I'll tell y'all when I have it. I was still probably finishing up college by the time I still had this laptop. So it's been through the ringer. Let's just say that. Besides that, a lot of good stuff that happened. Let me turn this down real quick. Now, y'all know me by now. I'm a pretty busy guy, right? Do a lot of things. Keep my mind preoccupied. So make sure my applause works. I keep messing up the applause, but I gotta make sure all this is functioning. Okay. So that works. Okay. Let's run that back. Ignore that. Ignore that. But let's clean this up. So make sure y'all hear me. So good news is, as far as for my profession, I got another stage manager gig. Yeah, yes, I got that going on. Kind of got worried about that for yet, but I'm getting there. And I also am starting another job. I'm actually trained to be like an operations manager as well. Yes, I'm doing a lot of good things. Crazy good things. Look at me. All right, let me stop it. All right. Enough of the cheers. But I don't know. I think um, around the time that I've actually, decided to like do stuff on my own. When I say on my own, as in not necessarily include any parents, I've actually been having a lot of different skill sets, experiences, different traits that I've tapped into that I didn't even notice, or maybe I did notice, but I never really figured it out until later on. But it really made me think about how, you know, because we all grown up in different functions as far as childhood. Not everybody had like a different upbringing, and with that upbringing, sometimes as far as like I know parents don't want to say they have favorites or they don't have a kid that's more important than the next, blase, blase, blah. But in the back of their mind, they all have that one kid that they mess with, and they have one that's just like, whatever. And coming from my experience, and maybe it's for, I know I probably told y'all already, but growing, I was a middle child. And if you know anything about middle children, yeah, we're like in our own we're in our own club when it comes to that. Now I looked up this theory, right? It was a theory that I probably posted it on pages, but it was talking about middle child syndrome. I'm gonna find it. Now it says middle child syndrome. Make sure y'all can hear me. It says this is the idea that the middle children of a family, those born in between siblings, are treated or seen differently by their parents and from the rest of their siblings. The theory believes that the particular birth order of siblings affects children's character and development process because parents focus more on the first and last born. Now, right there, that kind of got me. And it also brings the topic of the question for tonight: do parents really raise us? Do they even raise us, or do they just, you know, are just present? Are they just present to what's going on and then just kind of take the credit, kind of like Thomas Edison? But yeah, are they really present? Like, are they really here, or are they just somewhere else? All right, now let's get to the nitty gritty of this. Now, as far as middle child syndrome, uh, it basically shows how certain kids born in a certain order, let's say text usually first, middle, last, because that's usually how most people, usually have kids, or it can be, a 5 or 7 kids, however you want to put it. The middle child, the person that's literally in the middle of everybody, where nobody really has them focus on just. I always say another thing too. I think middle children, in a way, kind of raise themselves. I think they kind of raise themselves because their parents don't really give them time to like actually ask them or tell or help them out exactly what their interests are. So I believe they just kind of figure it out. They just kind of figure out life. They kind of figure out, you know, just how to go throughout the motions, figure out how things work because, you know, the older bro I mean, for some people who have older siblings, they pretty much get on your nerves than the younger sibling wants to do what the older sibling does. So you're literally just stuck like me growing up. My oldest and my youngest were like my younger brother were tight like this. They had their own thing. I didn't. I mean, yeah, they had their like little thing. They connected on some ways, and I always kind of was in the corner somewhere. I always wanted to do my own thing. Like I didn't dress how they dress. I didn't the type of music because even though I guess because we grew up listening to kind of similar stuff. Like I said, you have your own personality. So my taste of certain things didn't really mesh with theirs per se. So I think with middle children, they kind of like develop their own personality, whereas the oldest is like they're stuck with this type of archetype. The youngest is not necessarily forced with that archetype, but because they're not really pressured as much as their older siblings, they pretty much do whatever. You know, any baby in a family can also agree to the fact that the parents pretty much let them do whatever. Not knocking it, like I said. I mean, to be fair, I think both of my parents were actually. Well, as far as I know, my mom only had one sibling. As far she probably had more, but as far as growing up, she probably had just one sibling, which my aunt, it was like half. But I'll just bring my father in this equation. My dad was the baby, and as far as I can tell from his upbringing, he kind of just did whatever, you know, kind of just went along with everything as long as their parents didn't say anything. But I'll continue. So it says the term is not used to describe a mental disorder, but it's, however, a hypothetical idea telling how middle children see the world based on their subconscious upbringing. As a result, middle children are believed to develop different characteristics and personality traits, right, from the rest of their siblings, as well as experiencing household life differently from the rest of their siblings. Like I said, people you can like have. I'll make the three sibling concept. Three siblings could be in the same house, but they all have like a different perspective. But when it comes to the middle child, there's probably like way different. compared to the oldest and youngest. And sometimes when they even mention how different it is, not a lot of people hear them out. They're kind of just like left to the wayside in a sense. Like I remember seeing there was like a lot of this video when they were showing like I'm the youngest, I'm the oldest, I'm the middle. And then like the oldest was saying blah blah blah. Youngest was saying, oh well, I'm the youngest child. Of course, blah blah blah. Oldest, blah blah blah. Then for example, it was like, oh, I'm the middle child and we do so it kind of shows you exactly how you know children are treated growing up. It's obvious that it's not just. I mean, people say it's an idea or a theory, but it can't really be a theory if there's proven evidence. I mean, if they're making videos about it, I don't think it's kind of like there's truth in every joke, lie, and insult. Sure, we're laughing about this, thinking it's funny, but there has to be some truth to it. Otherwise, why try to make a joke out of it, right? And I'm not saying that middle children go through like the most abuse or they go through the most psychological torture and trauma. I'm not saying on that, but let's break that down. What is trauma? Because a lot of people, I'll go back to the middle child thing, but let's break down exactly what trauma is. Now, they say trauma is a deeply distressing or disturbing experience. So anything that may have caused any disruption in your upbringing somehow sticks with you for a long time. And sometimes you may forget it, some stuff, but like for the most of the time, you it kind of makes you who you are. It can either make you or break you at times. It can either make you or break you. And I think with middle children, uh, and I'm biased, of course, because me being a middle child, I think at times we could probably carry the most trauma because our parents aren't really focused with what we have going on. So, of course, when it comes to childhood trauma, it would make sense that the middle child will get the most of it. And again, this isn't physical either. It's just what they've endured and what they had to accept compared to their other siblings. But with the stuff comes the good stuff as well. Like for example, then there's certain traits that middle children. I feel like I'm making this more about a middle child instead of just parent. Well, I'm making this about middle children, but it's just the theory. But here are some traits that correlate with middle children. Now, I said middle children's personality traits result from the relationship between the middle child and family siblings and parents. Now, these are the examples. They could be secretive, a mediator, diplomatic, independent, loyal, um, adaptable, flexible, compromising, social, and accountable. That's what they say about middle. I think oldest they say kind of bossy and always workaholic type individuals, and I think youngest is very carefree, whatever. Do it now. The reason why now I think why middle children kind of has these traits is because and now I would say this. I don't like. I don't want to make it seem like when parents have their first child, it's like a mistake. I don't want to say that, but I see it as like, say, the firstborn screws up. Most of the pressure is usually put on the second child because the parents are just trying to figure out how to handle this child. They have a second one. It's almost like, okay, let's we'll still watch out for him, but I don't know. Sometime when he gets older, he'll just figure this out. Then they forget all about Sometimes I wouldn't be surprised if they forget about even had a middle child. But then the baby, they always because that's the baby, that's the last one. So they always gotta make sure they're okay. They always gotta make sure they're not hurt. Blah blah blah. But yeah, it's very interesting. Oh, and let's get into some examples on. I like using analogies when it comes to this to fit my case. Of course, it's fictitious, so bear with me. Uh, the Sopranos, Tony Soprano, prime example of a middle child. Had two sisters, one older, one younger. When it comes to the as far as secretive, he was a very secretive person. When it comes to being adaptable, he was adaptable at times. Um, Loyal, I would say loyal to his own cause. Um, Diplomatic, I would say when he wanted to be diplomatic. I would say so. When he wanted to be, I'll say that. But some of the examples kind of fit him a bit. Like for example, he always kind of had like this feeling of not feeling special growing up. Um, let's see. He said protective of relationships out over relationships outside the family, his mafia family. He was very protective of them. Again, when he wanted to be, and let's see. He said more, in one of the examples said more reliant on friends than family. That also could apply to Tony. And another person I can make this case on in a fictitious sense, Logan Roy from Succession, also a middle child. Had a babysitter that died very young. I believe it was polio or something. Ewan was his older brother. Logan Roy, middle child. Um, I think he was the first one in his family to leave home. That's another example of a middle child. Sometimes middle children could be kind of fed up. They feel like they're boxed in, so they think that they need to venture out some more, travel, experience more things, because where they're at isn't making them grow. So middle children are usually have this characteristic. As far as being a mediator, uh, I would say he tends to because running a company, he has to be able to mediate in some capacity. He has to be able to maneuver through difficult uh, terms of agreement in some sense when it comes to closing deals. He has that. We get into some more examples. So yeah, bigger sense of individualism. A lot of the two examples I mentioned, you could tell they're really big on being individuals. Let's see, either rebellious or a peacemaker. Like I mentioned with Tony Soprano in the show, he was in maybe the movie that came out a few years ago. Very rebellious. Uh, Wanted to court attention at all costs. That's one of the laws of power. Wanted to court attention at all costs, whether good or bad. Uh, let's see. Or peacemaker. Yeah, peacemaker. Um, I think Logan might have had some of those peace. Well, when he tried to be, when he tried to. Let's look at some more characteristics. Let's see. High sense of independence, feelings of alienation, competitive. Now that could fit both those the two I mentioned. Those they were very, very, very competitive, especially someone like a Logan Roy. Very competitive. Everything was a game to him. Everything was a competition to him. He wanted to win at all costs. That's kind of like how middle children saw life as. They're like, if I couldn't win the heart of the people that raised me, or in some cases, my own family, everything that they see and that they put the effort in is always a competition. It's almost like win at everything at all costs. If not, you're gonna be just left on the wayside. And honestly, I mean, you can't really knock them for that because sometimes when you grow up in certain environments where you're not loved, you know, as the old saying goes, sometimes a child, I'm paraphrasing, but burns the village, burns the village down to feel the warmth. Y'all get what I'm trying to say. Some middle children either go that route or they go another route. They'll try to, cause havoc and chaos to get the attention of the people that they so say love or so say loves them. But if not, they'll, you know, go their own path. Um, like I mentioned, flexible, risk taking. They both take a lot of risk in those shows. Both individuals take lots of risks. And I think someone like me can relate because I know what it's like to be able to be that person that everyone looks for to make decisions and be able to make those big risks. I mean, with my stage manager thing, no experience. I had to be sure to make sure I made the right risk when it comes to what light change and what cue to make, what call to call, what call to call, and just getting those tough situations, right? While dealing with frustrating, being frustrated with people that don't really know what's going on, how to navigate whatever, but being able to, because in any situation when you're, just for me, adding an example, I was able to be adaptable into something I didn't know how to do and wasn't taught how to do it, but yet I didn't fold, I didn't crack under pressure, because growing up, especially when it comes to someone like the middle child, and it sucks to say this, I couldn't. It was hard for me to like make a mistake, or if I did, it would be like the worst. I know it's like when it comes to me making mistakes compared to like my siblings, if I did something wrong, it would be the worst thing ever. And I guess that kind of stuck with me because I know that if people are frustrated about what they're not doing, trying to put it on me because I don't know how to do X, Y, and Z, I know that it's not me, it's them. Yeah, I'm not in the wrong with whatever's going on. And I've learned how to not take everything too personally in anything I do. You know, learn how to, take risks, learn how to be adaptable and flexible, uh, being able to make the right decisions, be the person people can depend on. I mean, strong social skills. I didn't even notice I had like good, strong social skills. I think as far as like the social skills, I think that only comes with just um, with time. Because I don't know, like when it comes to like certain, I'm sad to say, in our community, we're not a big fan of communicating our issues and problems. It's kind of like fight or flight in a sense. But speaking on as far as like communication and you know discipline and all that, what causes a parent to use abuse as a form of discipline? I was talking to my brothers about something about someone that was like a relative to us, and that one of our cousins was like, you know, teaching him how to say his ABCs, and he wasn't quite getting it. I don't know if he was dyslexia or he had a learning disability. I don't know, but he was getting really physical with him. I'll keep it brief. He was getting really physical with him, and like I don't know, maybe the lower frequency of me would like laugh at something like that. Of course, because that's not my child, whatever, whatever. But now that I'm mature and refined, it's kind of like sad to think, why do we think that it's necessary to inflict violence on our youth to get their point across? And then wonder why they become volatile and aggressive and full of all this rage and pain when they're older. It's always us. The young, it is our people. It's this. Our people that think that's cool and try to use religion to justify it. No, can't. Everybody loves, quoting that, spirit around spoil the child, but that's not, it doesn't affect, uh, like, come on, you can't be mad at, your child can't be, disrespectful for everything. Everything your child does is disrespectful. Every time your child acts up, you need to smack him in the face or whip him or hit him with an object. Come on, no, I'm not going for that. I don't believe that. I don't believe that you have to strike your kid because you're frustrated. Because if that's the case, your boss should smack you around whenever you start slacking on your job. If you're not doing the assignment that you're doing, or you're slacking on the job, but by that logic, your boss should smack you silly, right? If that's what makes sense in my mind. But that's whatever, Let people do what they do. But all right. Final thoughts. As far as like raising a child and making sure they're in the right environment, I think the safest thing to do is to actually, no matter oldest, middle, or youngest, listen to what they have to say. Hear their interests. Don't try to live your life through them because they'll end up feeling hurt with themselves because they're trying to live up to a dream that they can't fulfill. That's not like not every like we're not every son that you have is gonna play ball or have hoop dreams. Not everybody wants to do the typical, college route, work some, you know, lame desk job. It's not gonna happen. Sometimes your kid has different aspirations that you may not agree with. What's the problem with that? And I find it funny that the Gen X generation were, they call them the latchkey kids. Why were they the latchkey kids? Because their parents weren't around because they were always working, so they basically had to raise themselves. So we're literally, well, as far as my parents, we're literally the generation that didn't have their parents around. So that's the parents that's raising our generation. Then when they see us, or some of us, because some of us are trying to change that narrative, they get offended. Oh, I think you're gonna make it. No, I'm gonna make my kids not scared of me, or not feel like they can't come talk to me because I'm gonna threaten them with violence and make blanket threats at them. And even if I did, that's none of your business. How I raise my kid, you're not raising them, so why is that any of your business? I think parents got to learn how to be more open with their kids. You know, just listen to them. They're not as slow as you think they are. I know, nowadays kids ain't reading, whatever. They say seventh graders reading at what third grade, fourth grade levels. When I'm hearing that, but I mean, the teachers can only do so much. What are the parents doing? What are y'all doing to change this narrative? Are y'all actually cracking down on them the right way? Not hitting them with a belt over their hands or smacking them around silly, hitting them with extension cords. Like, when did that become a. I always thought that was very odd and very, like, connected to, like, slavery. That's some shit, some slave master shit. Like, what would possess you to, like, hit your child with a pot? What would possess you to do that? But you be in church every Sunday, supposedly, or you read the Bible, supposedly, or you believe in whatever God you believe in, supposedly. But this is how you act. This is how you treat. Then I was reading what someone was saying about witnessing domestic violence as a kid, whatever, and they were saying, like, I don't know if they were joking or not, but they were saying, like, normal black household activities. It's building character development for what, the prison system, for Section 8 housing, for a 1 to 3 statistic. It's like, sometimes I don't want to say this, but sometimes, like, dang, am I really my race right now? Because how do they think like this? This doesn't even make any sense. How can you think like this? It's impossible to think like that. You got to be mentally ill. There's no other way. You got to be mentally ill to think that way. But I digress on that. But yeah, that's all I gotta say on that. Let me know what y'all think. Do parents really raise us, or do they make their kids do their job for them? The older kids do their job for them. Let me know what y'all think about that. But like I said, appreciate y'all for uh, checking out this video. Y'all can like, comment, subscribe to the YouTube. You can follow me on Dissect the Dialogue Official IG. Let's see, Twitter. Keep saying Twitter. X. I'm on Spotify, Anchor, Apple, iHeart, you name it. I'm there. But until then, keep your mind out the gutter. Stay out of grown folk business, and until then, peace.